Now with 100% more ducks. Howdy folks, Grok the DuckFarmer here, and I'm on the FTOG Avant3 server, hanging out here at the big stump. Got a whole bunch of ores and whatnot there behind me. And I'm here because, I'm doing something that I've not done before. Typically on a series, I try to amass everything in huge quantities, filling up ME drives, filling up storage drawers, all that sort of thing, just so I've got gobs of stuff. And I'm not really doing that this time. Sure, I've got raw material, but I'm not running around with huge amounts of processed iron and processed gold and whatnot. I'm just kind of making what I need at the time. And it's different. But here, let's spin around, take a look here at the tree here. Getting all sorts of interesting stuff in here with the 1.13 upgrade of the Avant3 pack. We're now getting yellowite because there's extreme reactors in the pack. Not big reactors, extreme. So, yeah. Let me go ahead and snag a stack of iron and a stack of the gold because I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something right over there that several of the people on the server have done. If I remember right, let's see, Link has done the 5 times ore processing from Mekanism, and let's see, Nemson's done that in his spaceship, and Thor has done it. There may have been others that have done it, but I'm drawing a blank on them. And I decided, while this stuff works really nicely for doing a little bit at a time, if I want a big batch of stuff really quickly, here's the way to do. So Mekanism is fun because it gives you 5 different ways of processing your materials. So this here is the smelting factory, and I've gone ahead and fully upgraded this to the elite smelting factory so it can do 7 in parallel, which is mighty nice. And I went ahead and upgraded all the energies as much as possible. You can see I'm getting speed upgrades here. So I can take a bit of ore, drop it in, and doink, it spits it here into the storage crate. And stuff from previous runs. Let's do it again, because that should give us 1 bit of iron. 1 iron. And that's great. But if I want to double that, I could run it through my sag mill and then do the alloy smelting. And that's what I've been doing. But here, I've got the smelting factory. If I do the enrichment chamber first, and then the smelting, then if I take a single piece of ore, stick it in there, crunch, there's 2, and there's my 2 iron ingots, which is pretty easy to do. That's just 2. Now, it's also fairly easy to get 3 going, and so we can triple our ore. That requires the purifying, let's see, that's the purification chamber. I keep getting slightly hung up because these are factories, so it's the elite purifying factory. But if you don't have it fully upgraded, it's the purification chamber. You inject oxygen into it, and then you need a crusher, and then your enricher and smelter. And then when you drop this guy in, crunch, there's what? Crushing. Oh, that bit. It's so fast, it's done. There's all 3 of them. So with just a little bit of extra work, you can get that going, and that's not all that hard to do. But you could go 1 step further, and you can quadruple your ore with this. This is the injection factory. If you weren't doing it with the factory, it's the chemical injection chamber. Now this thing needs hydrogen chloride, and then it just stacks on top of everything else. So if we drop that in real quick, and we'll just go to here to the last. And watch the bits come in. Boom, there's 4 little dusts, and boom, that 1 ore turned into 4 ingots, which is pretty darn cool. But we could do more. Well, yes, we can. If I take a piece of ore and drop it in here into my ender chest, it vanishes away, and after a little bit of remote magic, hey, that picked up, there we go. man, it just pounds away. And what do we get for? 5 ingots. I feel like I should be, you know, the count. 5 ingots. Oh, so this pretty much shows, you know, like there's nothing at all to this. It's pretty easy to make. Well, these two are easy. They're just standalone. This one in and of itself doesn't do anything because it needs that purification chamber to get going. And here's where the wrinkle comes in. This needs oxygen. That means you need something else. Well, let's go drift here in the back. Look in the guts of the thing. So back here, I have an infinite water source from pressure pipes. And I really like this because it's just 6 iron and 2 buckets of water. Cheap, 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 cheap. So I've got here one of the ultimate mechanical pipes so that it will go ahead and pump all the stuff into this rotary condensator. And I love that name, condensator. If we take a look at it, in here it's taking the water and, you know, H2O, it's splitting out the hydrogens and the oxygens from this. Now the hydrogen I'm not using here, so I'm just dumping the excess. Bye, don't care. The rest, the oxygen, is going into this tank here, this ultimate gas tank. So I've got a good buffer here. And then that is pushing into my purifying factory. And that is what is supplying the oxygen. For 5 items, or 5 machines, the rotary condensator, and then these 4, you've got tripling. That's pretty fast. That's pretty easy to do. Now, to get the 4 going, then we needed that hydrogen chloride. And for that, I'm doing a little bit similar. See, we got the water coming in, the rotary condensator. Well, I've got the hydrogen chloride coming in as a liquid. I've got my rotary condensator, and it is decondensating. So it is going from liquid to gas. And then that goes into the tank, and that goes into my injection factory here. Well, I'm not making the hydrogen chloride here. That revolves, that details a whole bunch more. Now, as far as, one extra little doodad going on here, I've got power, and I'm running some cables around, you can see, and I'm eventually going to close this up, but I wanted to show this off here. This is doing double duty. It's providing power here, but it is also, if we take a look at items, it's actually not sending anymore, so that can go away. Bye-bye. There. But it is actually receiving the processed bits from the remote storage and bringing it around. So that's how it's coming back, and this is how it's going away. And this is serving double duty because I can feed it both gunpowder as well as ore. So let me go ahead and get some gunpowder. Gunpowder right there. Come to Grok. All right, so let's go ahead and stick the gunpowder in. Doink. And let's go take a look at the blood magic area. And let's see what's here. There we go. And this is where all the magic happens. So I worked on earlier where I had these 2 evaporation towers, and this one was making the brine, and this one was making the liquid lithium, so I could make the lithium dust. Well, I've turned that from making the lithium to making more brine. So we take a quick look. It's making brine. Both of them feed into this set of pipes, into these 2 drums, which are both full at this point. So to make that hydrogen chloride, we come down here. This is our electrolytic separator, where it's taking the brine and it's breaking it into sodium and chlorine. Sodium, don't need any of that, because high blood pressure and all that, you don't want to use that. So I'm dumping the excess there. I'm really just caring about the chlorine. So this gas is getting pumped out to this gas tank, which is getting then pumped into this, it says rotary condensator, but no, it's another chemical infuser. This is taking the chlorine from the one side and hydrogen from the other to make hydrogen chloride. elementary chemistry right there. This is doing exactly like we did back at the base, where I'm taking the rotary condensator, except the last time I was dumping the hydrogen because I didn't care. This time I don't care about the oxygen, so I'm just dumping that, and I'm using the hydrogen here. So hydrogen in, chlorine in, now I've got the hydrogen chloride. That goes into this gas tank, which then comes here to this rotary condensator, and this is condensating it. I just love that word. This is condensating it into liquid, which allows me to store that into a drum. So I've got a back up of that, and then into my ender tank so I can send it where I need it. Because I use that at the 4 times processing plant, the chemical injection chamber, but I also need that for the 5 times. So this right here is what's necessary. Well, this right here is what's necessary to do the 4 times processing. And if you want to kick it one step further, you need this. All right, this is kind of complicated, but here's the hydrogen chloride coming in. Our rotary condensator decondensating, so we're taking it from liquid to gas, and I always like to have a buffer. And then here, this is the chemical injection chamber. Here's where I fed in the gunpowder. So here's my ender chest, and when I stuck in the gunpowder in there, it went into here, into the chemical injection chamber, and I route that through because I've got a basic item filter here saying gunpowder only, whitelisted in. And over here, since there's 2 things coming off, this one I've got a blacklist for the gunpowder. So gunpowder cannot go here. I want the ores to. And the gunpowder goes into here. So gunpowder is injected with the hydrogen chloride, and that turns into sodium dust, which the chemical oxidizer takes that sodium dust, combines it with oxygen, and it turns it into sulfur. It turns the sulfur into sulfur dioxide. And where is it getting the oxygen from? It's just magic. There is no oxygen coming in here. This feeds the now gaseous sulfur dioxide, comes into here, and it combines with pure oxygen, where we're doing it again. This is the 3rd time we're using the electrolytic separator, and I don't care about the hydrogen, so I'm just dumping it, and there's my oxygen. Could I condense all this because I've got 3 things doing hydrogen and oxygen? Well, 4, because I've got the old jetpack from the first couple episodes. I have 4 of these rotary condensators. I could condense them all down and be storing liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. I could. I've done that before, but I figure it's just as easy to have these going around. Anyway, so liquid hydrogen? Oxygen. We're doing oxygen from here. Oxygen goes into the tank, goes into here, and this then makes, from the sulfur dioxide plus oxygen, makes it sulfur trioxide, because it's got 3 oxygens in it. Well, that gets pumped into this, another one of these chemical infusers, and it takes the sulfur trioxide plus water vapor, and that's just, again, the rotary condensator, but it's just pure water going in and turning it from water to water vapor tank, and that comes into here, and that makes for me sulfur gas, well, sulfuric acid gas, and that gets stored in here, some sulfuric acid backup, and then that comes to the chemical dissolution chamber. This sulfuric acid is now a liquid, it's not a gas. So we went from gas. Okay, now it's a... No, that's a gas. It's still a gas. You are a gas. Sulfuric acid, gas. Anyway, this will turn these into a slurry. So if we take a bit of iron and drop it in, oh, you can just barely see it. There's a little bit of slurry. Here, let's do several in here. And drop that in there, and you can see a little bit of a slurry appears because it's dissolving it in that acid into a liquid. That now comes here to the chemical washer plus water, and that slurry, and it cleans it up and then passes it on down here to the chemical crystallizer. And this here will turn that liquid slurry into crystals. It'll make 5 crystals, which then gets, and you can't see it underneath, I've got one of those dimensional transceivers underneath there that's powering everything here, and it routes it away, and that sends it back to the base, which is about 3,000 blocks that away, and it's done. Yay! I have not checked out the other guys' video on how they did theirs, Link and Nemson and Thor, because they're setting it up in their ways, and if you haven't already checked out their stuff, you definitely should, because I'm sure they've set it up in different ways. Me, I like doing it this way, kind of breaking it down into different chunks. I really like using liquid and moving them around with ender tanks rather than a whole bunch of pipes. I try to use as few pipes as possible. I'm happy to go ahead and have multiple water sources with these. I love these blocks. They're very cheap. And, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus 2 more at the base. So there's 8 that I've set up here because I love them and I don't need to route water all around. I prefer not to. I prefer to try to keep it as clean as possible, and to kind of, rather than have long lines doing stuff, I'm okay with it kind of routing around back and forth through here. It makes sense to me. It takes a little bit of time for me to lay everything out, but it's up and running and it's working fairly nicely. In fact, let's head back to base. We'll drop down here. Haha, snagged a bit of string as I left. So go away, go away, go away. And let's come here and see. Played with 25 so far. Let's go ahead and drop off a bunch of gold, because I have been burning through the gold like crazy and I don't have much left. So it's already started to process the stuff through, and lots of lag as everything kind of fires off. So that's not so nice, but it's really busy. I wonder if I were to block these off so I couldn't see them, if that would improve performance. Or if I look away, oh yeah, I get much better frames if I look away. But yeah, it's coming down really low here. Anyway, this is processing the stuff through. Here comes the little crystals. Yep, gold crystals are coming in. I really don't need this fully upgraded here, because you can see they're only processing 1 at a time, 2 at a time, because there is kind of a bottleneck back there with the chemical washers. I've set it up where each ingot type or each ore type has its own washer, so I could do them in parallel. Don't care that much here. If I really want something to do extra work, I'll just punch it into here, and this will quadruple my ores, which is fine. That's fine for most of the stuff I need to do, and it's so much faster here than it is with that individual gold bits. Let's see what we're doing here. So this should give us 4 stacks of iron when it's all said and done, and we should also get 5 stacks of the gold, and that's pretty slick. I have to admit, I really like Mekanism for that. It's involved. I was showing Mrs. the DuckFarmer the process of going from the 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 times your ore into ingots, and her response was,
"And this is a game?"
Is it? Yes, it's fun. And her response was,
"And this is a game."
Yeah, it's a game. And it's fun. But yeah, I wanted to set this up here because it's a quick quadrupling of ores if I just drop it here, or if I want to go quintupling, I can do that as well. And I like it. Here, let's spin around. It's just the way I roll, and it keeps it nice and compact. I like compact. I've the first time I set this up, it took up chunks and chunks and chunks and chunks of real estate. It was amazing how big it was. Not efficient in any way, shape, or form. But this I like. This is probably the most compact I've ever set this up, and I enjoy it. So I hope you enjoyed. I was not going to build this with you. This took, let's see, maybe an hour today and about 4 or 5 hours yesterday to set it all up. Getting the pieces in place, upgrading them to factories, getting all of the upgrades in place, making sure the flow is right. Yeah, I wasn't going to subject you to seeing all that. Instead, I figured I'd just show it off. This is how it's done. Do go check out Link and Nemson and Thorgal's videos on how they set up theirs, because I'm going to go watch them now because I haven't been watching them already. Check out how they set up theirs. I'm guaranteed they've set up theirs differently. Same eventual process, because you have to go through the same process, but they've got to have done it differently because they're different. And that's some of the fun of playing on a server with a bunch of different people. Things are done differently. Everybody has their own strengths. And we got a bunch of good people here on the server. Once you're done watching Link and Nemson and Thorgal's videos, go check out everybody else in the description, all the other players on the server. Check out their stuff. Subscribe to them. Like their videos. Send them money. Chocolates probably wouldn't be, declined. Just, show them some love, and you will appreciate their stuff as much as I do. Anyway, I've blathered on enough. This has been Grok the DuckFarmer here on the FTOG Avant3 server, and I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Thanks, and bye-bye.